All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 53 of the Six Skull Scavengers. This episode is going to be a great one, guys. We have a special guest with us. I'm your host, Brian Fontaine, joined, as always, with my good friends, TC and Chris Letty. You'll notice that we have a fourth person in the booth. We have Scott from the Parker Files, one of the recent YouTube channels that we've talked about quite recently. Scott, you've been a scavenger for quite a long time, so we love to see our own getting out there and sharing things for collectors that can really help them out. So welcome to the show, Scott.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
It's nice to see the face behind the camera, because normally we just see your awesome office setup there, and now we get to see the guy with the hat. The hat is
right
epic here.
I have a face for radio, so I should probably just stay behind the camera anyway.
That's why we do too. That's why we're a little apprehensive when we started doing these live streams. TC's the one of us that has the good looks, so that's why we brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, got to be good for something. That is a nice hat, though, Scott. Very nice hat.
Yeah.
TC the ringer.
So anyways, just for our benefit, I mean, Scott, we've been talking about your channel for the last couple episodes and whatnot, but just for the benefit of kind of our viewers and listeners on the podcast download, just kind of, you don't have to give away all your trade secrets here, but just how you kind of came about wanting to start the channel and get going with some YouTube reviews.
Yeah, honestly, that's partially you guys are to blame for that. So I guess long story short, I started collecting about 2 years ago, I think, and just the Marvel characters specifically had been a big part of my childhood, and then had got me through the MCU. Actually, kind of saved my life when I was going through a really difficult time. So they once again, those characters kind of became an escape for me. So after, and one day I was just kind of messing around online, and the algorithm, showed me the Hot Toys Spider-Man, tech suit version, the deluxe version. I don't know, it came out of nowhere. And so I was like, man, that's like the detail in this thing is incredible. It just blew me away. And so I ordered it, and then that snowballed into like, wow, it unlocked this whole thing of look at all these amazing figures. And like, I just had no clue this stuff existed. And so after I found that, then I got hooked, and then I was like looking for content, like guys who were talking about this stuff, and so stumbled across your guys' podcast when I guess it probably first started. I think it was one of the early episodes, and then I was like, and I was watching all the content, all the YouTube reviewers, but there was something you guys said in the beginning that really caught me, was kind of we're not the voice, we're a voice. You guys used to say that back in the day, and that really resonated with me, because it was less about you guys trying to build a brand as just trying to create a place for, nerds to gather. And so it just was really great for me. And so I was hooked on your guys' podcast, and then, really binged collecting for a while. And then when this whole COVID thing happened, I was just, my work got really stressful, was really like, man, I need an outlet. Like I need something to just, creatively, put my head somewhere else and do something else that I enjoy just for the fun of it. And we've all talked about it before, how collecting is, so isolating, and you feel like, who are you going to talk to about it? And, my wife's like, go play with your dolls kind of thing. So you're embarrassed to talk to her about it. And so I was just like, well, you guys kind of created this space where it was, fun just to talk about what you love. And so that was kind of one of the inspirations. And then the other was, I figured that my son, Parker, this will all kind of be his one day. And so I just kind of thought, hey, I can have a creative outlet, but also kind of talk about these figures. And someday the figures and my thoughts on them will be there for him, and he can have them. So that's where the Parker Files name came out. But it really was just a creative outlet to do something else other than, watch Netflix or, be annoyed at the way the world is. So that's kind of how it started. And you guys have been so encouraging about the whole thing. So now I don't want to stop. So that's
awesome. That's odd. Like cool. I you told me a couple of days ago about the origin of like how you did and how you started it and what it meant. And I gotta be honest, I got choked up a little bit. It was pretty cool. I was actually a little jealous too that I didn't think of something that clever for my son. So kudos to you.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's he's got all the superheroes he'll ever need, and it's just kind of fun. Hopefully someday, we'll still be doing this thing when he's old enough to play with them and talk. Well, not play with them. He can't touch them, but
Daddy's lead toys.
Yeah, totally. My toys, you have your own, and we'll kind of go get them together. But no, it's a lot of fun. But it is and has. It's been such a creative outlet. Like all the things I love, like the figures themselves, and even like having no one to talk to about them, has been, kind of frustrating too. Cause it's like I'm usually embarrassed. Like I'm in my office right now. When people come in my office, I usually apologize, right? I'm like, this is still proof you can, be a nerd and have a hot wife, right? Like it's kind of how I joke about it. Cause like I'm always apologizing for what I collect. But I wanted a way to just, share how excited I am about some of these things and how amazing I think they are. So there you have it.
No, that's awesome. So along that vein, and I didn't want to bury the lead here, but you and I have been talking quite a bit lately. I'm personally have been a huge fan of your channel. The first video I saw, I think I reached out to you that day and I was like, dude, this is phenomenal. And I know TC has heaped some really high praise on you in the past. And we got to talking and, to be honest, like the three of us and Roy included, we don't have any propensity to do any kind of reviews and stuff. It's one of the reasons why we've kind of featured your videos, your YouTube videos, like in our website and stuff. So we thought it'd be a good idea to kind of bring you aboard the team officially. So I just wanted to share with our audience here. We haven't even told our Facebook group that we're kind of having you join the creative team officially here, Scott. So welcome aboard. You're part of the council. You probably already have seen Behind the Curtain, The Wizard of Oz. And these guys really are a bunch of hacks. They really are not experts.
Yeah, no, man. Well, obviously, like I'm super honored, like, and I said humbled, like that you guys would even be interested in any of the content, and amazed that it does even cut through all the noise, right? Like there's so many people out there making videos and sharing their thoughts on this stuff. So the fact that it even showed up on your guys' radar at all is pretty humbling. But to then be invited into, any kind of help to this, this group that's meant so much to me personally, like it's pretty amazing. And, just for all the people that watch and listen and are on the Facebook group, like these guys, you guys are passionate about this thing and it's really encouraging and inspiring. And I see why it's been successful. And so I'm happy to be a part of it and contribute in any way that I can for sure. And TC definitely is, he's the anchor for sure. There's no doubt. So great. That's great.
I mean, it's certainly not Chris. I can tell you that.
Let me just say, are you a professional speaker, Scott? You're very, very good at speaking.
Actually, that is what I do in my day job. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. So now I'm feeling better about the Godfather offer that I made you.
I'm a hand model at night, but I definitely do the public speaking by day. So.
Makes sense.
That's awesome. So we're still trying to figure out what that means, but obviously, everybody here can tell that Scott's got a lot of energy and passion about this. So we're going to continue to promote your channel, Scott. We're going to continue to embed the reviews that you have on our website for Marvel. Don't worry about Star Wars. We'll get that covered somehow, some way. And then just, look for other ways to, use your creative talents and stuff to help our audience and your audience and just help collectors in general. It's going to be a good thing. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, man.
All right. So continuing on here. So we got a great show. Like, as I mentioned, don't have that much news to cover. We have two figures to talk about. We're going to go through our ever entertaining collection update. Scott has some things to share of his own collection being updated. And initially, one of the reasons, Scott, we wanted to have you on was to go through your process of creating a YouTube review. And obviously, as I mentioned a little bit ago, the first time I saw your review, and I don't want to say what it was about because it's going to be a trivia question in a short time, but I knew instantly. I'm like, you just know it's like, wow, like this. There was a lot of time and effort put into this. This is quality. This just wasn't thrown together, and we wanted to kind of get your thoughts because I think in general, collectors are just like, oh yeah, I want to review hot toys. I want to review collectibles. I want to create videos and stuff. And to be honest, like YouTube, we use this as a vessel or vehicle to get in touch with collectors. We're not monetized. We don't try to get all the clicks and the views and stuff. This is definitely for the collectors. And, also originally we started as a podcast, and that's still more than half of our audience, if not more. So, just to get some insight and appreciation, I think you've kind of shared a little bit of tidbits with us already that I think people will, look at your videos in a whole new light in a good way. And so we're going to go through it, and that'll be our topic today. And then finally, you saw it on the screen. If you're listening to this afterwards, you saw in the album cover art, we're going to cover Captain America Civil War Scarlet Witch MMS 370 all the way back from December 2016. The photo was from your collection, Scott, and Roy did the normal magic that he normally does. Didn't have to do too much with your photo here. It's a stunning figure, and we'll be able to review that at the very end of the show. All right, before we get into news, and Scott, you were generous enough to want to do a giveaway for this episode. So I want you to I don't want to steal your thunder about that, and then we'll have a trivia question that somebody can win said giveaway.
Yeah, no, thanks, Brian. I really did. I just want to take an opportunity just to say thanks to everybody in the community. Like I said, this has meant a lot to me personally, and I think I think it was the 50th episode where everybody had a chance just to kind of share their thoughts. Like, I really had a hard time, even though I do speak a lot. It was hard to kind of put my feelings into words because it's meant a lot to me. So all the encouraging, things you guys have said and the community have said around the videos and stuff, it's meant a lot to me personally. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to, just offer a $15 Sideshow gift card to someone who can I guess answer a trivia question.
Yeah, we'll make it pretty easy. So this is only going to be for people tuning in live, and I just saw Diecast Fly tuning in for the first time. So welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. So this trivia question is going to be relatively easy, but the catch is we're going to pick so what we want to do is everyone's we'll have to be entered, type the answer into the chat, and then we're going to have not a randomly generated number because I already have the number in my mind, but we're going to then, once we see enough people entered, TC will ask you to kind of keep an eye on that. We'll go back in and see if we can find out who that person is. So the very, I guess, easy question, and I almost spilled it a little bit ago, but what was the topic of the Parker Files first video? And just type that into the chat. We'll kind of keep an eye on that, and we'll come back and announce who that winner is of that Sideshow gift card. So thank you, Scott, for that.
Happy to do it.
Thanks, man.
All right. Let's get to some news. I want to talk about some hot toys, guys. I know we've had quite a little bit of a longer intro than normal, but for the occasion, I think it was worth discussing. But guys, the Toy Fair exclusive Spider-Man 2099 black suit, which is really a blue suit, and I can't remember who in our live stream had corrected us on that. And it just basically, it was at the time in the early 90s when they did comic books, they didn't want to, they only had a couple colors that they could use. So that's why it's blue, but it's really black. So this was VGM 42TC, originally announced on July 2nd. We've got this at Secret Base, and this is the photo we're showing here is on July 28th. So in between our last episode.
Yeah, just like you said, release end of July, and man, this is a nice looking Spider-Man suit. You can tell Hot Toys has really refined their craft with these Spider-Man suits as they've continued to produce them, and this one, I don't know, this one's going to be worth a pretty penny, I think, in the near future, because it's a classic suit that has a wide following, and I know several collectors that this is their favorite suit. So it's a little bit delicate, so just be careful when you're posing it, but that's just like every Spider-Man suit. But other than that, I mean, this thing pops. So if you want something on your shelf that looks awesome, go for this suit. So what do you think, Chris?
I agree. I mean, it's a stunning look to Spider-Man, very different from the other suits. So it does add a different touch to the lineup of Spideys. And again, it's just so many people growing up through the 90s and having that, that 2099 comic book series and stuff. It's just, it resonates with comic collectors, and then it resonates with those who are into the video game. So it hits a couple different areas, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the market is like on this figure. I mean, I don't even think we got blogger picks or anything for this one.
No, I think the and Scott, I want you to chime in here in a little bit, but I think basically, this is one of the ones. I think same thing like last year with the Scarlet Spider. There wasn't any blogger photos for that either. Basically, the prototype was the final product. So, I think a lot of what we've seen about that. Now, if you go on like Instagram and stuff like that, people already have this in hand. You've seen, people posing this, and I think are some limitations, just like there are with most of the Spider-Man suits. But I mean, I have to be honest. I mean, it does look pretty cool. I mean, I don't want to have 20 Spider-Man in my collection, but this would be. I don't even know if it'd be top 5, Spider-Man suits, but you said it right, Chris. I mean, this is a little bit of a cult following, and they've still tried to bring back the 2099 characters at some point. I mean, if we're still doing this in 2099, which I highly doubt, maybe it'd be interesting to see if that actually is the switch that Marvel makes.
Yeah. Scott, what are you thinking on this figure? Is it one that you're targeting, or?
No, not at all. I agree with you guys. Like, I think this figure is unreal. In fact, of all of the variants from the video game, I think this is probably my favorite. Even more than the advanced suit or whatever the one with the white symbol on the front is. Like, I just think this is like Spider-Man, Batman. Like, it's just unreal. Like, it's the combination of both of those guys. Like, it just looks so mean. I think it would be an awesome figure on your shelf, but I'm not going down the rabbit trail of getting all the variants from the game. And Spider-Man is my favorite character, like always has been, always will be. But I'm more of the OG, Spidey. So the actual, the original suit that they're coming out with, like, that's definitely on my radar. But this one is just, I feel like if I got this one, that I'd want all of the variants, because it'd be all or none for me. So I'm going to appreciate this one from afar, but it looks unreal. I wonder about the symbol in the front. I wonder how sturdy that's going to be over time. I wonder about it, popping off or, flaking off in certain places. I wonder what that's going to look like, but I guess only time will tell.
Very cool. TC, I saw quite a bit of entries already, and so we're going to go ahead, and I gotta double check math. I did it quickly. If anybody saw me on the video, I was quickly counting quietly to myself. But so we're gonna pick the sixth person, as in 6 Scale Scavengers. Also, Scott has done 6 videos with Parker Files, so the 6th person. I'll double check your math, TC, but hopefully we came up with the same person.
Is it Mario?
It is Mario.
Mario Cortez wins everything. This guy's on fire.
He's won a 6 scale T-shirt.
Well, you know what? You get a chance to win if you show up, and Mario is one of my favorite scavengers.
He also won a statue on Rogue 1/6 group therapy. Superman statue.
It's on fire.
So Mario the horseshoe.
Yeah, Mario will reach out to you after the episode, and again. We got 35 people tuning in live. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's humbling to, people are taking out time of their day on a Wednesday just to hang out with us. We're a bunch of hacks. We're not experts. We just love talking about this stuff. And, I love I can't ever comment because I'm trying to make pretend like I know what I'm doing with the behind the scenes thing here and make sure we have photos to look at and stuff. But, the conversations that occur and seeing people tuning in for the first time and stuff. It's pretty cool. So welcome aboard, newbies, and obviously scavengers. I see Mike's already mixing it up. We've got he's loving those moderator duties. Mike's been a welcome addition to the team too, and like I've said before, he's one of my favorite scavengers. So, all right, guys, let's talk about this figure. And man, if I can figure out how to work my mouse here. There we go. The Mandalorian. So TMS 007. This was a August 3rd Hong Kong release just a couple days ago. I want to say TC was at October 3rd last year during New York Comic Con that this went up for pre-order. I think it was.
Yeah. It's been about a little less than a year, but just released this week, and man, what a figure. This is figure of the year leader right now, in my opinion. This is an awesome figure. It looks like a man in a suit. These look like stills from the actual series. I don't know what to say about it other than it just looks phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure there's, a couple nitpicks that you'll see when you get it in hand, but I mean, Hot Toys they outdid themselves in this one. I don't know of many people that have many bad things to say about this figure. I'm definitely going to try and get it. I actually have a quick story I'd like to share, but it's a little disappointing. If you go and pre-order these Hot Toys by Tim Sent and Toys of Wonderland or any Hong Kong reseller, you usually can get them for a pretty good price if it's Star Wars. And Tim Sent priced this one right at 2,060 Hong Kong dollars for the first batch. For the second batch, he priced it like 1910. So he has a coupon too, and it tiers at different price points. So with the coupon, it would have really reduced that gap between the first and second batch. So it came out to like 240, 250. And I just kept waiting to pull the trigger, and then one day it was just gone. And then on Toys Wonderland, it's just gone. And long story short, I don't have this Mando figure right now, and if it's not for one of my co-hosts, I probably wouldn't have one secured at the moment. So I could have had it on the way here to Georgia, but unfortunately, I kept passing, and it kind of bit me in the butt. But anyway, this is a phenomenal figure. Awesome. Congrats to everybody who's getting it early, and I can't wait to see it in hand.
Yeah, I know, Scott. I know you're a Marvel collector, but you were even envious of this one. But I got to throw this over to my co-host here, Chris, and just get your thoughts on this.
Oh man, when this figure dropped, it was just like, thank God, we got this figure a little bit early. There was rumblings that it was on its way. Some of the people in the know kind of heard some things, so it was kind of on the radar, expecting it to drop. But yeah, some of those first in-hand picks of people in Hong Kong getting it, and I'm so excited for this figure. I mean, it's what we needed for a release, and getting it a decent amount of time before the second season releases. It's just going to make people want to order, all the other figures if they haven't from the line. And yeah, I mean, again, we'll see how long it takes for Sideshow to get their stock in, because I think it's still expected to be October or so. And that's where I have my pre-order from. And I switched mine last week before this released to a one-time payment. So I'm wondering if, I might be able to get it earlier. But yeah, I'm just totally stoked on this figure.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, obviously it doesn't mean you're not a Star Wars fan just because you don't collect Star Wars figures. But I mean, man, you have to marvel at this one. Pun intended.
Yeah, well, honestly, I'm a huge Star Wars fan too. I just can't afford them all. So the point for me was obviously MCU and Marvel characters for sure. But I've kind of been a big fan of the Star Wars figures that they've made. This to me isn't just one of the top figures of the year. I think this might be one, from the photos at least, one of the best toys they've ever made, because it's not only like perfect visually, but it's also the perfect kind of figure costume for display. Like you have no concerns about how you're going to display it, because in all the joint areas, it's all material. It's not anything that's going to be broken or deteriorate or anything like that. So it's perfect visually, but it's also, you could pose it any way you want. I think it's the perfect figure. It's actually one that's actually made me really rethink whether I want to go down the Star Wars rabbit hole, because this thing is just like, I just want it. I really, really do. Like, this is unreal, this figure. I think probably the best. Yeah, top three for sure that I've ever seen, that I was like, that is amazing.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, to your point, Scott, the pants on this, well, they might look not baggy. There's definitely room in there to where you can move the legs around and kind of pose it as you wish. Have them kneeling down.
Yeah,
maybe.
some dynamic poses.
Dynamic poses. Yeah, that you usually can't get from a hot toy.
Exactly.
So I'm interested to see what that's like in hand.
Yeah, you guys stole all the good comments, but I don't mind. So I'm unbelievably stoked for this. And I want to pontificate a little bit on this just because, like, I don't think it's going to reach like Mud Trooper levels, because obviously the Mandalorian was a worldwide phenomenon. I mean, Baby Yoda, the child, the Mandalorian. I mean, even Star Wars fans knew about this on Disney Plus. And I think this wasn't a sleeper in terms of pre-orders. I still think people held out for the Beskar version, which we ended up getting, the one that will come with the child. And I think people maybe overlooked this one a little bit. I think after seeing the photos here, the four of us hacks talking about this here, I've talked to a couple scavengers as I was chatting with Chris Marino of Dorklair earlier, and he had done some research to look around, and you cannot find this at any of the other retailers. Like, even if you try to go to the smaller guys like Underground Figures or Stevens Collectibles or Alter Ego, you can't. Nobody has it available anymore for pre-order. And basically, I was going through our website, I think last night. You can either go to Sideshow. I think you can still get it at Pop Culture if you're in Australia. And then TCU mentioned it. Like, the leading indicator of how popular this figure is going to be is the fact that the Hong Kong sellers basically only, I think Toys Buying Agent, which is Tim Cent 88 on eBay, has nothing left. And Toys Wonderland has a second batch available. So I don't know what that means. And even if you get it from his website, he says it's 30 to 90 days. And the price is only going to go up as the stock goes down. Like, you're probably better off at this point going to Sideshow. If you're a huge Mandalorian fan, like I am, and most of us on this panel, I think if you only go for one, obviously the Beskar one is probably going to be the more iconic one if you're not a fan of having multiples on your shelf. But do not sleep on this one. I think aftermarket wise, I think this is going to get a little crazy. TC mentioned, I'll have a little story I'll share during the collection update, that I got so eager about this and kind of correcting some prior mistakes before I felt like I became a little bit more enlightened as a collector. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make a bold prediction enough that I think this is going to go waitlist before it actually gets in stock at Sideshow. But there's a chance. There's definitely a chance. I don't think. I know there's been some chatter lately of like, okay, do you really need to pre-order figures? And for ones that aren't going to be that popular, but you still like the Solo figures, the Mud Trooper, yes, you have to pre-order that. The ones that are just going to be insanely popular, like this, that may not have been highly pre-ordered, upfront pre-ordered, you got to get a hold of it. Otherwise, you're going to be paying through the nose on the aftermarket, I think, for this one.
Yeah, you almost wonder if, like Mario brought up in the chat, and you said it, does this go waitlist before it's in stock in North America? I mean, it's definitely possible, but then again, what would stop Hot Toys from doing their own second batch? Like
a Markel, or
Thor, yeah. So I mean, I would keep that in mind too. If the demand is there and they want to keep cranking these out, they definitely can.
Yeah,
they don't do that.
We'll leave that advice to like the 6-scale economist who was our guest on last episode. But I'm just more saying, like, from a standpoint, not to get an extra to sell it, but just for your own benefit of your own collection. It's better to, pay retail for a figure than paying a figure and a half for one figure, because then you can get more figures. That's one of the reasons why we're all scavengers.
That's right. We find a way.
This is the way. Oh.
do you guys think these are the best photos too that they've ever done for Star Wars?
It's right there, Scott. I mean, Kindar, BG Toy Art. I liked a bunch of his photos on Instagram. At JC Hong, Chris, I guess you're pretty popular with one of the head guys at Hot Toys. He keeps liking your post, but not our official page post. But you're right. Jingle Bell here. I mean, these are just incredible. There's a lot of love. I mean, you talk about time and effort spent on these. These photos weren't just thrown together. Him talking to an Ewok, and just the photogenic which isn't even a word, but I just made it up. Like so many of these things here, you look at it, and if it weren't for the hands, and I think one of the things that Roy brought up in our in our side admin chat was the fact that maybe the fingers looked a little oversaturated, maybe a little bit too bright for what the figure is. And anytime you have a figure where you have the hands in fixed positions, sometimes they're going to look a little odd, but I mean, who cares? I mean, you can create so many different looks with this. I mean, here's one of him loading shells into his tuning fork gun. I mean, that's just incredible. I don't know what else to say about this figure. It's wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is always going to be the first Mando figure by Hot Toys.
Mhm.
There can only be, one first figure. So I think this one over time, I mean, even if you fast forward it 2, 3, 4 years down the line, this is one to have, even maybe more than the Beskar one, because there could be variations of the Beskar armor that continue to get released, because we don't know what Mando's going to wear in Season 2, how different that's going to look. If there's any kind of costume change, you figure that Hot Toys will make a figure, but this one stands out as his original costume in the series, and I could just see it being one of those rare figures that in the aftermarket just continues to climb, and the only thing stopping it would be an eventual re-release. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
totally agree.
All right, we've gushed enough about that figure. That's probably one of those the top 5 gushes that we've ever had about a figure. So, and there's more to come. I mean, the Beskar ones and stuff look great too. So, and we're going to eventually be getting more of these endgame figures that we've all, been dying to see too. So, quick hitters, guys. I know we're running a little bit long, which is fine. I don't think anybody's going to complain about more collecting talk here. So, Chris, TC, we're seeing on the Star Wars side, Sideshow's been shipping out not only some Star Wars figures like Leia and Wicket. They had sent out the solo figures about a month ago. The endgame figures are starting to come too. So you guys have been getting some notifications about that.
Yeah. I think Leia and Wicket is in stock. I think the single figures and the 2-pack. I think Hawkeye and Hawkeye Deluxe are in stock at Sideshow. Some other figures coming our way. For me personally, I've gotten emails for both Black Widow from Endgame and Far From Home Homemade Suit Spidey. They're arriving this week, and final payments are hitting hopefully before Saturday, so that way they can get them shipped out, Saturday and get them next week. So, I mean, those are some of the things going on at Sideshow. Definitely excited, and the figures are just piling up now. And so TC, what about the wholesalers? There's something going on?
So they're selling not selling. They're shipping out the solo and solo deluxe figures. So I know several retailers. I'm pretty sure Steven's Collectibles. I know Alter Ego is shipping theirs out, because actually I had placed an order for that figure a little while back, and I paid it in full, and I just kept the order. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but they are shipping those out to collectors. And then, unfortunately, there's still no timetable for the Mud Trooper at a lot of these smaller retailers. I'm pretty sure Sideshow's shipped out some of the Mud Troopers.
They've shipped out. So I checked with Steven yesterday, and still no ETA for the Mud Trooper. So the wholesalers, the smaller guys, haven't got the Mud Trooper yet, but we are seeing, at least for Steven, and we're also seeing with Ray with Underground Figures, the solo standard and deluxe are now shipping out soon. I've got my solo standard is en route right now. Yes, very pumped about that. And then also I think Leia and Wicket's going to be next week. So again, you can save a little bit of money going with the smaller retailers. You're basically, a couple weeks to a month after Sideshow, but sometimes you can avoid taxes. The shipping's a lot less. And, unless you need to have this figure immediately, like I need to have this Mandalorian figure. If you can wait a little bit, you can save a little bit of money. You do that over the course of a year, you can probably buy yourself another figure. So it's definitely one way to really be, a scavenger about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Brian. I mean, you can make it almost like for every 4 figures you would buy at a Sideshow or even an overseas, you get 5. from these smaller retailers. So it's not that many figures to make that difference, because you're talking $30-$40 if you have taxes and shipping every single time. So it's worth it sometimes to wait if you don't need it immediately.
Yep. Test our patience, but our wallet thanks us for it in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. So not that much news to cover. And as Scott was reminding us in the admin chat earlier today, it means there's probably going to be about 6 figures that are going to drop tomorrow. And it's already going to be old news for us by the next time we record, but that's our luck. All right, so let's move on, guys, to our collection update. And for some reason, people find this entertaining. I think probably one of the biggest things too is it makes us a little bit more relatable, because we're going through the same issues that a lot of other collectors are, making some tough decisions about, pre-orders, maybe sometimes canceling pre-orders. Should you eat an NRD? Hopefully, haven't had to do that in a long time, so knock on wood. And so I do have a couple things this time. Actually, I'll lead off because I usually go last. So I don't have a boring update. So I mentioned a little bit ago, Steven reached out to me from Steven's Collectibles in Texas. He said, "Hey, Brian, I've got your Han Solo standard here with your name on it. Paid my invoice, very quick and easy. He sent me my tracking number out today. I should have that in a couple days. So stoked about that, and can't beat the price. I mean, anybody that's ordered anything from Steven, you're getting top-notch customer service with that. So really looking forward to getting that figure in hand, and we'll probably hopefully try to review it coming up pretty soon too. I was looking at my collection, and I said I wasn't going to sell anything for a while, but I was a little tempted by a figure that one of our co-hosts was going to make available. And to make it happen, I was looking at my collection, looking at it right now, and trying to figure out, hey, could I make this work? And I looked very longingly at my DeLorean and Marty McFly, and I love that movie, guys. I mean, I absolutely do, but it's so hard to display that thing. I mean, it's basically 30 inches long. It's standing on top of 2D tops as it speaks, and Marty's in the driver's seat. So it's hard to display, but it is fantastic. I decided to just sit on it for right now. But what I did, guys, little scavenger tip. If you're ever concerned, and I learned my lesson, people will laugh from probably 10 episodes ago, and my son gave me a lot of grief for selling his my Thanos figure, and that was one of his favorites. Never again will I do that. But give the wife test, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about selling that. She's like, you can't do that. No. So it's off the block for right now. But anyways,
That's awesome.
Kind of considered it. If you're on the fence, most of us try to hide our purchases from our significant others, and or lie about what the cost actually is, but sometimes they're good at telling you what you should or shouldn't do anyways. So anyways, I mentioned it, super excited about the Mandalorian figure, guys. And I had it on pre-order on a Dopo with Big Bad Toy Store because, October last year, I thought it was still a good idea to do ordering through Big Bad Toy Store. They're, they package it well, $4 shipping. You have to wait so many months for it to arrive. And I didn't want to wait everybody getting it from Sideshow and then, okay, let's wait 2 months to get it from Big Bad Toy Store. So I've been humming and hawing. I had over $100 in rewards at Sideshow. I don't typically like to order from there for Hot Toys, but anyway, so I was trying to think, okay, do I buy, pre-order at Sideshow, get it early, and then what do I do with my other one? Do I cancel the order with BBTS? And then lo and behold, and Scott, this is where you kind of saw earlier today where the real magic happens was TC was wondering, everybody's sold out of Hong Kong, hard to find this figure right now. And I said, well, I'm going to have an extra one if you can wait a little bit. So there we have it. TC's going to basically absorb my big bet. I mean, the fact that you were paying like maybe like $100 over retail, I just as a friend couldn't let you have, let that happen. So we worked out a deal. I'm going to get my figure early from Sideshow, hopefully. Got a good deal with the rewards, all the, this Sideshow Con at home rewards that piled up, and some of the statues I'd gotten a while ago, made it really affordable. So win-win for both of us. And that is a scavenger deal. And unfortunately, one of the things we had to do recently was not allow sales on our private Facebook page, but doesn't mean the admin team can't make deals, wheeling and dealing. So very, very cool.
That was a great deal. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'd do it every day of the week. Let's see here. TC, while I spilled the beans on one of yours, why don't you carry it on?
All right. I will lead it off with, actually, I'm going to lead it off with this guy. It's not really a figure. Well, it is a figure, but it's really the suit that's the topic of conversation. It's
Yes.
I don't know, is it Mark 100 or just MK 100?
MK
Aloha Tony.
Yeah. White suit, the white lover,
The white
Tony
suit.
Stark. Yeah. From Homecoming. So I'm trying to build a Homecoming display. And this is something I saw a while back, and it kind of fell off my radar, but I recently was able to track it down thanks to the Scavengers. And it's just one of those pieces that I know, Hot Toys won't touch it. I don't know if any company will really, want to make a complete figure of it. So, but it's a great side piece because I can put it with the Mark 47, and it just adds a little bit more depth to the Homecoming display. And I actually had a faulty Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi Deluxe body from Pop Culture, and so they sent me a replacement, and so I just used the body and then one of the head sculpts from the Mark 50. Voila, there's the figure, and it looks really good. I mean, because of the Luke Skywalker body and then the head sculpt, I mean, it's darn close to what you would get from Hot Toys. So that's that. I did sell my Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith. I just put that on eBay, and it sold for good money. But the reason is because I'm making the transition to Iron Man, MCU Spider-Man, and just some select Star Wars. So that one left the collection. And what entered the collection was the Mark IV Hollow figure, the 2020 Toy Fair exclusive that entered the collection. I got that from Tim Cent, and it arrived last week. So,
What do you think of that?
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's not going to be like, if you don't have the Mark IV, if you can get it for like the $330, I think it could actually be a substitute instead of paying the $750 for a Mark IV. But if you got to pay the premium, I wouldn't do it as your only copy of the Mark IV. But it's really solid. I mean, the joints are die cast. It doesn't have a lot of paint on the figure. The plastic's translucent, but it does have some spots where they did a lot of paint accents. And there are die cast pieces on the outside of the figure as well, I believe, in the shoulders. So it's a really well-made figure. It's something that's unique, and it's the Mark IV. The Mark IV mold is awesome. So I feel they could make anything with that mold, and I'd probably go for it. So I do definitely recommend it. It is still pretty solid. You can tell there's die cast. It's not super light. It's not flimsy. The joints are just as strong as regular die cast joints. It actually might even be a little bit better built than the original Mark IV because there is less die cast on there. So it puts a little less strain on those joints. But I think it's a great figure, and happy to have it.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
That's it.
All right, Chris, I'm going to make you go last. I'm going to let Scott go next.
Oh, sadly, not a whole lot. I sold my Mark 50, which I never was, probably one of the only people maybe that I wasn't really a big fan of that variant, personally. Like, it never, even in the movie, I was like, it's kind of never just gravitated to it at all. I had it more because I needed an Iron Man to be in my like Avengers display, not in my like Hall of Armor display. So I didn't want to pay for, the 46. So the 50 it was. And so it was kind of always a placeholder. And then then I sold it recently and paid for the Mark 85, which I got from Toys Wonderland. So hopefully that gets released tomorrow, maybe, which would be fantastic. I'd be all over that. Yeah. And I'm a little bummed. I should have, in hindsight, I got rid of it so quickly. I should have done a review on it before I let it go, just because I think that would have been nice to do, but didn't do it. So the other thing I ordered or got the Stan Lee from Ragnarok, which I know a lot of people are like, do you need another Stan Lee? I'm hoping they do them all, so I'll have them all if they have them all. I won't. I just love all those cameos. So I got that, and then the only other thing was I got the Doc Ock from Toys Era, I think it was that put that out, which I'm actually waiting for Magicase in the next century to bring some more cases in, and when they do, I got a Spider-Man display in the works, so. I'm going to have the Vulture in there and some of the other villains, and Mysterio, of course, and then Doc Ock. So really, really had to have that. And so that's all I got. But looking forward to it. Hopefully, some of these others drop. These Marvel ones that I have already ordered, I'm just waiting for, like Iron Patriot and some of those other ones from Endgame. But just waiting like everybody else.
Scott, are you getting the what was it, the Pepper Potts rescue suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that, at least to see the final product.
Yeah, I think hopefully that one, they alter a few things. There's a few things I think could be a little bit off about that if they don't address them from the prototype they showed. But I mean, they'll have enough time. I think they'll figure it out.
Very cool. Thanks, Scott. So I'm going to make Chris wait a little bit longer because I completely forgot about the Magicase update I reached out to Brian, same namesake as myself, but the owner of Magicase, and I was like, I'm like, hey, I know there's a ton of delays. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to complain too much here, but I'd ordered in December, and I just said, hey, what's the update? I was like, hey, I've heard in our collecting group that people that had ordered recently, September, October last year, they're going to be getting there soon. And I was like, any update? And so he says they are in the process of now manufacturing the November, December, and January orders, and they're targeting to put that out to sea by August. So when that happens, it basically would take about a month to hit California, and probably another about month there. So internally, I've been thinking all along, I've going to have to wait until the end of October, beginning of November. That's the best case scenario. And Scott, you were quick to point out too that you'd heard something similar too, and maybe it might be January before I get mine, which it's going to stink.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at Roy's display, and Roy has been building a custom one. It's like, oh, if I just went that route, I could have something maybe half as cool as what Roy's been building. No more DVDs in the background of his office space, but I think it'll be worth it. And I mean, and Scott, your video initially got me super excited about Magicase all over again when I saw, and I mean, obviously people in the stream here can see your setup behind you here. It's incredible. And I guess I'll continue to wait. I just really want to get a final setup of my stuff right now.
Yeah, it'll be well worth it, man. I promise. Like, I waited so long. It was so frustrating. Towards the end, I was on the phone, or not, like actually texting him, which he was great about, super gracious on the phone. But it's like, buddy, this is nuts, man. Like every week I was texting him, like, has it gone out? Has it gone out? Has it gone out? Has it gone out? And I got that same email that's like, yeah, it's going to be on the vessel in August. And I got mine in December, just basically towards the end of the year. And so it didn't, he said, actually, I would have it by the end of August. I would actually have them in the end of August. It was what I was told. And I had them probably, I think, 2 weeks before Christmas, I think was what I got. So, but then once you get them all put together, you just forget. Like it's amazing how quickly you forget the pain once it's there. So it's all good.
Then you place another order.
Exactly.
So you can relive it all for another year.
And I have, and I did. I am. I've actually been told that my next ones are coming when Brian's are coming. So I'm in with you, man.
All right. Well, we'll commiserate together on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Chris, now you can go. Sorry, I just busted you up.
No, you guys are
busted on Eddie tonight.
No, that's all right. Yeah, you guys are killing me with, to talk of display, because what you see behind me is going to be my display for quite some time. But someday the warehouse will be converted to display space. But yeah. So anyway, I mean, I did some stuff. Didn't sell anything, but I bought a bunch of stuff. So I decided that I wanted to pre-order the Battle Damage Mark 85 exclusive from Sideshow. With all my rewards points and code and stuff like that. Got that price down pretty reasonable. And that's going to be my Mark 85. I really like the battle damage version. I know. Yeah, this next one definitely. So as soon as the Asmus Aragorn battle at Helm's Deep popped up, I like instantly went to Asmus and pre-ordered it. And then I started looking at some of the images of the face sculpt, the head sculpt, and I was like, well, it's not quite, the greatest. Somebody, I forget which podcast it was, maybe it was Collecting Weekly, but somebody had mentioned that they had stated that they're going to rework the head sculpt. So the prototype is not what it's going to look like final product. So we'll see what happens whenever that shows up, if I'm going to keep that. But I love Aragorn. I love Lord of the Rings and kind of dabbling with this Lord of the Rings 6-scale stuff. He was one figure that I definitely would want to represent that series. So again, we'll see. I also had some luck locally. I was in the western part of New Hampshire for work, and I got wind of a shop out there and went in there, and he had a case full of Hot Toys. And I was like, okay, did not expect this. And he had the Han and Chewie 2-pack, and he is a licensed sideshow dealer. And this 2-pack has been in his case since they originally came out. I can't believe nobody bought the stuff, but I asked him what the price was. And of course, in New Hampshire, you don't pay sales tax. And he said the price, and it was a little over retail, but still it was well under what the going rate is. And I was like, dude, I'm buying this. I did not expect to buy that 2-pack, but seeing them in person, I couldn't pass up the deal. And I really wanted the Chewie to go with young Han, but I really like that Harrison Ford Han Solo in person. So yeah, that's picked up that. Pretty happy. I know when I posted pictures of the shop, people were asking, "Oh, I got to call them about the Han and Chewie 2-pack," and I was like, "It might be sold." Nope. Snag. Got some grief from Peter. Was giving me a little grief, saying Letty strikes again with a deal. But hey, it was out there.
You put in a lot of work. You're on the road a lot, and
yeah.
That's one thing you kind of. I think as scavengers, I think we all try to create our own luck, and sometimes being in the right place, the right time, checking websites. I know Hidalgo in our group is like the town crier. Anytime there's an update or something like that, he's in there saying what's going on with stock and stuff. So, we try to help people out, but sometimes you just got to be in the right time, the right place. I mean, was it over a year ago when I just stumbled across that Mark 46 on Big Bad Toy Store?
Yeah.
I mean, that's changed hands multiple different times since then, but that Iron Man's definitely got around.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan, look at his comment. What is this from Braulio Lozano? A 2-pack just sold for $1,400. Is that the real going rate of that set?
I've seen. Well, when I looked, there was many at like $1,000. So I don't know if that was. I didn't really look at all the sold listings, but maybe that was an auction or something. But dang, if that's the going rate, it like definitely paid not quite a third of that, but pretty close to it. It's
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I have to, I 100% have to blame our guest for my other 2 purchases that I made, because I was watching his reviews, and both these figures were ones I wanted, but after watching his videos, I instantly went and looked to see what the prices were, and I ordered Endgame Rocket and Captain Marvel Deluxe from Tim Cent. And so thanks, Scott. Thanks for pushing me over the edge.
Do I get a commission for those, or
you can earn your new salary of $0 and 0 cents?
Totally, yeah, man, it's awesome. I actually want to find out where that Six Scale Economist said about that Mark 46. Who has that now, and how do I get my hands on it? That's what I
Dean
want
has
to
it.
know.
Yeah, Dean from
Dean with
Collecting Weekly.
Weekly. Yeah,
Okay.
it went from me to Chris to Zach to Dean, or was there somebody in between?
No,
I lost track.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Six Scale Economist is saying it. That story is legendary. So, God, I don't know if I want to break before we get into our topic here.
Mhm.
I don't know whether to cry or what, but I saw this note from Hitago here saying about the Maji cases that he ordered last October, and the case is finally in California, but with the wrong measurements.
Not alone, man.
Yeah.
I got mine, and I was missing a front plate for one of them. So I wrote them, like, lost my mind. And same, like, opened, like, I had, well, you guys saw the video probably, like, how many boxes I had, and there was a missing front plate. So I'm texting him like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he sent one with DHL. I had it in 2 days, but so I didn't even have them all put together by the time it got there. But I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me that I've waited this long." So I feel that pain. It's brutal, man. Like, great product, but I think just really needs some help on the business end. I think, like, because it's such a great product, I think.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have some kind of a relationship going forward with Sideshow, but I think it's going to take some time to get that up and running. And more than anything, it's probably just needs to get, inventory to Sideshow for a lot of, like, the standard cases. That's just awful, Hidalgo. Hopefully that gets better, and hopefully they fix that quickly for you. But then again, if they can send you something in 2 days, yeah, why are we waiting over a year?
Exactly. Exactly.
Anywho, let's not go down that rabbit hole. All right. So anyways, let's move on to our topic. And actually one of the first reasons that we wanted to have Scott on to begin with was I've just been fascinating. Scott, you thought this might be a boring topic, and that people might not be that interested in it. But as somebody that, we've been doing this podcast and YouTube show for 2 years now, and we've never once attempted to do any kind of reviews. Just know it would be an absolute train wreck. I have no talent when it comes to Photoshop or editing or video software or anything. So I'm just like, nope. And even Chris, you probably remember this. We're just like, yeah, let's just do audio. It might not even be that interesting to do an audio review of a really fantastic looking figure, but let's just do it anyways. And so anyways, that's really initially why we want to have Scott on. And after we got talking to him enough, we're like, hey, let's bring you aboard here. But anyways, so kind of framing this conversation, Scott, just kind of tee it up for you, and just kind of, you don't have to give away all your trade secrets and stuff, but as I said at the beginning, I think people would be really shocked to hear that the time and effort spent to make a video here. But so just kind of looking at this from a perspective of, maybe it's a scavenger, maybe it's another collector out on YouTube now watching this, and say, so you want to be a YouTube video reviewer, and just that standpoint, from preparation all the way to, like, post-production, getting ready to upload it.
Yeah. So I do wonder how interesting this may be to most people. I don't know. Maybe I was worried that some people would find it boring, but nevertheless, I'll kind of peel back the curtain, if you will. I think I never really set out, I guess, to be a YouTube reviewer. I was more trying to create content, just my way of expressing, creatively, but also, my joy about the figures and thoughts on them. But started thinking about it from my son's perspective and, like, wanting to share that with him. But then it just kind of, once you start, it's like you can't stop. So, so I do, thankfully, throughout my career, like, I've had a lot of video experience, a lot of that kind of stuff. So creatively, I've always had those, outlets. But again, through the COVID thing, hadn't had them with my job. So I just kind of looked at, all the reviewers that I've watched, was kind of the starting point. And so, of course, when I started collecting 2 years ago, I think I watched every Optobotomus review, and then, Justin's, of course, and, and saw the similarities in those YouTube reviewers. And I felt like they have nailed the way that they view them and the way that they do them. So, the light box, the white background, really zoomed in on certain features of the figures and that kind of stuff. And so I kind of wanted to do it more of from a creative aspect. And there were certain things that I was looking for as I see the figures. So I thought that was my approach, is like, what's the content that I would enjoy looking at and approach it. And so that's kind of where it all began for me. And I guess from there, like, I just wrote down a few notes, like, what I use. Like, so I basically come in, I get a figure. I've used the recent ones that have come out, of course, and I'm going to start doing some of the back catalog. But so I knew that, the figures coming in, so I've got to set up the space. And again, I wanted to be different than the other videos. So, the ones that everybody watches. And so I didn't want to use a light box. I didn't want to use a lot of lighting. It's kind of, for me, sometimes I feel like certain reviews, that's kind of like eHarmony profiles. It's like the picture you see in the video isn't really what the figure looks like in hand. So I'm like, wow, and it's, the color grading on it is so, huge that you're like, well, it doesn't really look like that when it's on your shelf. So I don't use any extra lighting than what's in the room. And I shoot on my iPhone in 4K. I use Filmic Pro, use a few tripods. And so I just kind of set up that space. Of course, I have the little, rotating wheel deal. And, but I just do it in my office, and the office is light, no extra lighting, because I just want to show what it looks like in real light. What you're going to see on the shelf is what you see in my video, kind of thing. And so that's kind of the approach. And so to set up the office, takes probably, or the shooting space probably takes, an hour or so, because, I've got to move some stuff and set everything up and do all that. So that takes an hour. And then I kind of set up a map, if you will, or like a process or a storyline for each video. And I wanted them to be consistent so that, it's the same kind of format every time. So it starts out with one of my favorite things, which is, of course, the art box. Like, I love the art boxes. There's something about them. Every time I get them, I feel like, I think I said in one of my videos, like when you used to get CDs and, you used to put on the CD and then you'd look at the album artwork, like you'd look through and you'd read all the stuff and, thanks to, all these different, like I love that stuff. And so the art box is certainly that for me. And as someone who's done a lot of graphic artwork, like I like what goes into that and I find it beautiful and appreciate it. So I like to show that off. And then I go into kind of like, let's open the box. We look at what's in the box and, not like taking every piece out, but just when you open it up, this is what you see, and just kind of taking a quick look at that and appreciating that. And then moving into, showing the figure just out of the box. Here's what it looks like. And here's my first reactions or impressions to it. Cause, I think every one of us has opened it up and you're just like, whoa, or, oh no, like you have those reactions. And so like, what are those and what are they honestly? And so when I'm doing the review, like I have a little notepad and I'm just jotting my reactions down, thoughts, words. I'm not recording the audio in real time. So I'm just writing down my thoughts, because I find when you do that, what I'm doing right now, you ramble a lot. You say a lot of the same words, you use the same adjectives. So I want to make it a little more appealing. So I just write a bunch of thoughts down, and then I get into, the accessories and the articulation. And again, most other reviewers I've watched, they do those in segments. And so they're like, here's the accessory, and they show, and it's great. Like, I love that. I watch all those videos, but I didn't want to be another person that did the same thing. So I prefer to show, the accessories and the articulation in the poses and show the different things that you can do. Because again, like, I don't care if I can personally, I don't care if I can bend an arm in an inhuman way, right? Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, it's like, whoa, look how far you can bend his arm. Well, that doesn't matter to me. I just want to show these are the poses that you can, accommodate with this figure. And here's some ways it looks and things that you can do. So, which again, I think the Mandalorian figure is just going to be unreal for that. Like, I really want that figure. So anyway, yeah, I know. Don't start, man. Don't start. You guys were all Marvel people, and then all of a sudden you went to the dark side, and now you want to bring everybody with you. I don't know. So, so I do that, and then at the end I just do some final thoughts and some ratings, because and again, those are personal opinions. Like, other people might disagree. Like, some people love the Paul Rudd head sculpt. It still scares me. And there's some other things. So I just usually, like, at the end, kind of save those final thoughts. Here's my thing at the end. That's what I think. And that process from start to finish is probably somewhere in the 3 to 4 hours. time, but setting like all the poses and taking it out and videoing it, and did I get that right, or did it look right, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and it just putting the figure on the spinny wheel and hitting record, like you could record 2 minutes of footage, but like I guarantee you one time it's going to fall over, and you're going to have to stand it back up and shoot the whole video again, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So there's all that kind of stuff so that takes 3 to 4 hours on average. So I just kind of did a quick average is what this takes. So after that, then I do the next process is putting everything away, and then getting the footage from my phone to my computer. And then importing it. I use Adobe Premiere for my first round of editing, and so I import all that to Adobe. And then while I'm doing all that too, I also search for music, and so I wait to search for the music after I've looked at the figure. And so the mood that the figure put me in is kind of the mood that I go for the music that I put in the background.
Nice.
And then I just cut the clips. So like even though I know the storyboard for the video, I still put the clips in, and I do some quick cutting, like, trying to make sure they're seamless, and like this would look good into going into this, but I don't do hardcore edits at that point. It's really more just kind of laying it out. And then, so that takes, that's about a 3 hour, on average, going through and cutting all those clips, and, looking at them and moving them around, and doing all that jazz, and looking for music. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's less. Some people don't care about the music, but that, again, like most reviewers that I watch, it's just their voice. And to me personally, like I kind of want to emote some kind of mood with it. Like, I don't think I have a voice that's sexy enough to, just have no music in the background. So
that's TC. That's
yeah. No, I know he's smooth. He's a smooth operator, but for me, I need some help. So, so definitely the music there. And again, just kind of giving some kind of mood to it. And then the next thing is writing and recording the voiceover, which, again, it depends on, sometimes it comes quicker than others. Again, trying not to say the same thing over and over and over again, but still following a formula, not wanting to beat to death certain points, but, saying it quick enough that people aren't going to hit, fast forward every 10 seconds to get to the next scene. And maybe people do that anyway. So writing and recording the voiceover, again, I'm averaging probably a couple hours. By the time you write it all out, review, read it through, does this make sense? Does that sound right? And then actually recording it and trying not to sound like you're a monotone voiceover reader. And then, so then the next thing is I'm reading my notes here, but I, import the voiceover and the music, and I do final edits. And I do this, again, in Premiere, just putting it all together, making sure it all lines up. And then I export that project into Adobe After Effects. And then there's a whole other process that goes into that, where, you're doing a lot of the, the transitions and the, the glitch effects. And so with that, really wanted, again, to kind of be consistent in some of my favorite things. So like, you'll see, creating the Marvel, the flash down thing in certain, scenes, or tried to go for into the Spider-Verse kind of glitchy, certain transitions. So just, again, my love for Spider-Man and trying to keep that and making that kind of look cool. And so the fine tuning is really where the most of the heavy lifting comes, because that's where you get really specific. So it's like, seconds matter, all these things, and lining up and trying to, edit things to the beat of this, the music, and making sure the transitions happen on that beat. Like, you really it's more meticulous work and fine tuning. So they usually say that the last 20% takes 80% of the time. And that's probably pretty true in video. So, and then, after that's all done and you export it, while that's exporting, then I go into, Photoshop or Illustrator, and, you do the work for creating a thumbnail, which, again, I kind of have a format for that. But, by the time you take the photo of the figure, and then you crop it and edit it and clean it all up and everything. So that's probably another hour. So all that to say, on average, my videos, and again, people probably can do it better and quicker or whatever, but for me, I average about 1 hour per 1 minute of video. Wow. So my last two videos were both 14 minutes long, and they both took around 14 hours total. Like, that's from beginning to it being uploaded to YouTube. So, yeah, it's,
you
my
have
wife
to
still
love
loves
you,
me.
you have to love it to do that. So as I said at the opening, for anybody just tuning in live, when I heard that, I mean, it made me actually appreciate videos even more, because on first look you can tell we've all TC, you probably watch more reviews than all of us combined, in doing your research, and that's how you approach figures and stuff like that. But you can notice it right off the bat. But then when you know that there's that much care that's gone into it, I mean, you just makes it. I mean, that's why I think you're already kind of one of the better ones out there. So don't let it go to your head. Keep doing what you're doing. No stuff. But I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I appreciated it the first one I saw. So hopefully everybody else will also, give Parker Files, a look and subscribe, and looking forward to the other stuff you got coming up.
Yeah, no, I do. I appreciate that, everybody that subscribed. I think it's kind of, again, one of those things that you do where, creatively speaking, you do put all that effort and energy and time. And like you guys have said so many times, like, you're like, why are we still doing this? Like you got a video that's sitting on there, and you look at it and you're like, man, I only have, 4 views, like, and then for the first little bit, you're like, you're looking like, is anybody going to watch this? And like, what's the point, and do it? And I guess, you guys have been, pretty inspiring from that. And Brian, you specifically too, just saying, be consistent, just stay with it. It's time over time. And so I think that's true of anything of value. It's just time over time is what matters. And so, I've enjoyed it a lot. It is a big time commitment. My wife is she recognizes what it does for me creatively to have that outlet. So she's super supportive, because again, it's her time too, that she lets me, get, not lets me, but you get me, she's like, yeah, go do that. You need that space. You need that outlet, go do it. And so, it's cool. And then to, see everybody, just be so positive and supportive, like it does affirm, the time, and it's cool. And so people think, oh, I'm subscribing to that, it's not a big deal. It actually really is, because it does validate, your effort, and it does affirm what you're doing. And actually it does it puts wind in your sails to want to keep doing it. It really does. Like, cause because it's such a time commitment, you could very easily just be like, what's the point? Like, why am I doing this? Right. Like why? I could just sit in my room and talk to myself. So, it does. I really do. It really does mean a lot when people just affirm you that way. So to everybody that has, I just want to say a huge thank you, because it means a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. We definitely get you from that aspect, with our subscribers and everybody chiming in and whenever we go live and everything, just having that, those people, wanting to view our content and be a part of the chat and all that stuff. It just feels great. And every time somebody leaves a message, on our YouTube videos, or, whenever somebody writes a review on Apple Podcasts, or somebody emails us or whatever, it just, just having that, that they're reaffirming, our, why we do this and stuff like that. But I do have a question. Like, so what you say it takes, roughly 14 hours, but like, do you space that out over an entire week, a couple weeks? Does it just depend on your life schedule and all that sort of thing? Or do you have like a set amount of time you want to get the video out so you can get going on the next one or something?
That's a great question. And it's changed, quite honestly. So initially, the Moducase review that's kind of started it for me was more of just when I went to build mine, it was frustrating because it didn't come with instructions, and I was just like, how do you do this? And like, and so I just thought, why not help somebody out? Was kind of the thing, because I really like the product. And then it was like, once I did that and that started getting some traction, I'm like, oh man, like, there were some positive things. So that fueled, hey, let's look at a figure. And I had Captain Marvel coming in, and I'm like, hey, this would kind of be fun to do, and, give it a shake. And then that kind of, started getting some love. And so then it kind of changed. Initially it was like, I was doing it as I could. And so like, that's awesome. Coming from you, that's huge. Wow.
Optical 20 tuning in live, one of the longtime reviewers out there. So that's game respecting game right there.
Yeah, that's if I could do half the job he can do, that'd be amazing. So it kind of changed. I was kind of like, well, listen, either I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. Like, it's kind of like you guys, right? At some point you have that, you have to make a decision. And if I'm going to do it personally, like I don't like doing things halfway. I'm either going to go all in or I'm not going to do it. So either I'm going to collect all the Marvel Hot Toys or I'm going to collect none of them. Like, I just don't want, I'm just not that way. So, and my wife, poor girl. But anyways, yeah. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this and it's going to be my creative outlet and I'm going to make this decision and I'm going to do this. So that's when I made the shift and I actually canceled all of my pre-orders from Sideshow and I moved them overseas. And it was like, one of the things I've got to do. And partially that's because I'm in Canada. And so some of the stuff there too creates problems, but I want to get the figures as fast as I can, because I think that that's a big part of, you know, people seeing the reviews. That, you know, as soon as the figure is released, people are looking for it. And so by the time everybody has the figure, they've watched every video, and what's the point of even doing one at that point? So, so that's why I moved those. So now, you know, Lisa, my wife, and I have kind of agreed, like, you know, when I know a figure's coming in, I'm going to bookmark the time to do the video as fast as I can get it out. And we've kind of made that commitment and said, let's, you know, that'll be my thing, and away we go. And so before it was like, you know, I'd shoot the clips, and then I would, you know, the next day I would write the voiceover, and then 2 days later I'd do some editing. And then, you know, so I'd have the figure for 2 weeks before the video was done. And so now I'm at the point now, like, where as soon as they come in, my hope is to have the video out within 48 hours of, there we go, Kellen, way to go. Oh, Canada, eh?
And Jeff as well. Yeah.
So the goal would be to have the video out, you know, within 48 hours, if at all possible. So
wow,
we'll see how that goes. Good thing. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. No, that's going to do my best.
Yeah, that's, I can see where if several figures are coming within a short period of time, that can make things hectic. But that's awesome, man. It's great information. It helps people know what goes on to put some of these reviews out, and I think it just helps people appreciate, you know, your product even that much more. And it is a top-notch product at that.
And now that you've seen behind the scenes of this podcast, you know that this is a pretty hack operation. Although I will say though, we do put in a couple days before each show. There's a lot of chatter and planning and whatnot. So it's not like this just happens. There's you know, I think people would be shocked. We've got a great team. I think people
would be shocked to know what you guys put in behind the scenes to do this. That the prep it's pretty impressive. It really is. You guys, you know, it's no accident you guys are doing what you've done. So hats off to you guys. I want to talk to all these Canadian guys now. Let's I think
most of them are in our scavenger group, so they'll probably all reach out to you now that you're Canada. Hey. we're practically in Canada and New Hampshire. So.
I know. We're not that far away.
4 hours, and then 4 hours, I think we're in Montreal. So,
oh, you hosers.
Yeah. Anyways, so Scott, I do not think that people thought that was boring. I saw quite a bit of chatter, you know, about that. So maybe you'll have, you know, people reaching out to you after that, and I'd love to see you get, you know, a lot more subscribers. And it's not the subscriber count that is vindication, but you mentioned it. I mean, a couple episodes ago, we did kind of our appreciation episode, and there's been some times that I've been same thing, like, you know, this, you know, with what's going on in the world is still important. And every time that we get ready to hit record, and sometimes our best conversations are before we hit record. But I just love talking to you guys. I love, you know, it's not here just to hear ourselves talk. It's, you know, to also be helpful, you know, to other scavengers and collectors out there. And it's pretty cool. Hopefully we can keep doing it a while longer, but, you know, we're also very fortunate to be able to, you know, have this as a hobby as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's talk about some Scarlet Witch. I almost said Black Widow because one of you said it at the beginning before we hit record, and I knew I had to. I can't remember who it was, but I'll protect
definitely TC.
I'll protect the innocent here. So we're going to do a little bit of a retro review. One of the things that we wanted to do was pull a figure out of Scott's private collection, and I'll call Chris out on this. You've had this sealed. You've owned this in your collection for several years, at least a year, if not longer.
2 years, over 2 years.
with a figure that has leather parts or pleather parts or whatever, how did you not open that to inspect it to make sure like it wasn't damaged? Like that to me that's like a failing of a scavenger right there. Like you should be ashamed of yourself.
I was just trusting that it would be fine, and it was 100% fine. No worries whatsoever. Climate controlled environment.
You deserve at least one flake off the pleather.
Don't
don't
jinx me. Don't jinx me.
So anyways,
one just fell off. Sorry.
Yeah. So Scott and Chris have this in hand. TCU did not. I owned this figure at one point before I had my Marvel purge, so I can at least chime in a little bit here. But TC, I'll give you the opportunity to go over the stats for this one.
I'll turn it right back over to you, Brian. Sorry, I dropped the
right.
ball on that.
They're in the notes. So this was Scarlet Witch from Captain America Civil War, MMS 370. The original MSRP was, when they were using round numbers, it was $229.99. Originally announced May 28th, 2016. So right when this movie was in theaters, and we got it a little bit later that year, December 5th. So a pretty quick turnaround by Hot Toy standards, but this is not to be a historian by any means, but 2017, 2018 is when they started to have the longer lead times on the figures, and that's why we're now at a year and a half, unfortunately. So this originally was supposed to come out Q4 2016 to Q1 2017. So it actually came out a little early or on time. And this is a little bit of a white whale for a lot of collectors. Aftermarket on this figure is insane. We thought we were going to get an Infinity War version of this. It was teased with her lighter hair, same outfit. Never happened. Maybe it still does. But anyways, this is kind of the definitive Scarlet Witch. Almost said Black Widow again. Thanks, TC. And yeah, so I will turn it over to our reviewers here. And I'll start going through the photos.
All right, I'll start off. Okay, yes, I definitely had this sealed until a couple of days ago. I found this at a local comic shop, one close to one of the accounts that I work at. I frequently go in there, and yeah, 2 years ago, the price tag on this thing, it was marked up, but it was very reasonably priced. And then it shot up. It shot up with Infinity War, Endgame. I mean, so I got this figure for $260, and again, New Hampshire has no sales tax, so that was, definitely a scavenger deal at the time. And I had to have her because, I mean, as TC likes to point out, like, I'm into all the secondary and tertiary characters, so I like filling out the lineup. And there's a movie promo edition, I think. It's based off this figure, but it's got like a different
Age of Ultron.
Yeah. So it's like it's got some more comic book aspects to it. And initially I was looking at that, but then this one, seeing it in person, it was definitely the one to have. And it's still, I mean, the figure still holds up really well. Yeah, I mean, Hot Toys could potentially, use some of their new painting skills, but I mean, seriously, they could just reissue this figure, and I think it would be perfectly fine.
Here you go, TC. Choose your side.
Black Widow.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I'm still on the Black Widow side, but she's not too bad to look at. Yeah, I mean, it's a great figure, and it stinks that we haven't gotten another version of her. I mean, I would almost expect we're going to get one for WandaVision, but it's going to be a different look, and we're not going to get, this more iconic look for her between the Infinity Saga movies and everything. So again, I mean, great figure. If you can find this figure for close to retail, which I highly doubt you will, I would definitely snag it. I do have to say, before Scott chimes in, like, do I think this figure is worth $550, $600? I
No.
don't think this figure is worth that much money. And I can't fault anybody for paying that much just because they want to, again, fill out that lineup. But man, you got to really think hard on spending that kind of money for this figure. It just does not offer $600+ worth of value, in my opinion. But again, just a solid figure. Hot Toys. We need another Scarlet Witch. So let's see it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly on the price tag. I guess, the price is only what people are willing to pay. And I think compared to the other versions of her, I think it's worth more than the other ones, for sure. And I actually think that this one's worth more than the next one, in the sense that I look at, the pictures they floated around of, the new one from the last movie, where she's got the more orange hair. And that's painful to look at, in my opinion. I think that hair, I think the only way that figure would be better than this one is if they did sculpted hair.
Yes.
And I think that, and again, that depends on what you think of sculpted hair versus the rooted hair. And I get a little annoyed with Hot Toys, either do one or the other, but stop doing both. Either make them all, because I look at my shelf and when I see Captain Marvel next to her and I'm like, one's got rooted hair and the other one's got sculpted hair, it's just it's painful to look at. But this one, I got it a little bit over retail from a private seller. In Canada, we have Kijiji. I guess it'd be like your Craigslist maybe. And so, I found somebody that was selling it locally and just, bartered a little bit. And I think the person had it on there because where I live, I don't think there are a lot of hot toy collectors. So they were trying to sell it locally and they didn't have it on eBay or anything. So I was able to kind of barter down, which is something I love to do as a scavenger. So got a really good deal on this. I really love this figure. I think, she's pretty, she stands out on my shelf at least. I'm a little concerned about the material. I think it's probably going to have the same fate, of course, as the Winter Soldier that you can't find without flaking, which is a figure I'm desperately looking for. But I love a lot of the, the details, in her boots. There's lots of different lines on it that are really appealing. It's not like the Black Widow suit that you see in that picture that Brian was just showing. I think I have that same Black Widow there. And, it's not there's a lot more intricacy to this outfit and a lot more variations in the different materials. And so I think they did a fantastic job. The head sculpt to me is right on the money. I don't think they may be a newer paint version, but I don't know how much better it would be personally. But that said, I guess the new Black Widows are much better than the Civil War one. So maybe it would be, but I hope that they do another one. But unless it has sculpted hair, I wouldn't get it. I would stick with this one personally.
Yeah, that would be definitely an upgrade. I think if they go the sculpted hair route, it'll be interesting to see what her look is for the TV show. And, if they decide to go that route, if they just skip the Endgame version altogether. And that would definitely keep this one desirable for sure. If they don't go that route and they go the TV, the Disney Plus show route. Yeah. I mean, I just, I'm glad I picked her up, and I'm also glad my daughters didn't destroy her when they came down in the basement. And they're like, oh my gosh, you opened her. Cause I would show her in the box and they're like, how come you haven't opened it yet?
Yeah. How come?
And then, typical hoarding collector, you don't want to open it up. But I'm like, stay away. I'm like, do not touch it. They're like, how come she has Barbie hair? Just like, oh man. But anyway, yeah, it's just a fun figure. And then she comes with a little Ant-Man, and some of her magical effects, whatever the heck, powers she has. And that's pretty much it. She doesn't really come with anything else. She's got some cool, the hands to swap out are translucent pink to kind of give that added effect, which is pretty neat. And yeah, I mean, just a good figure, solid figure overall.
Cool. So just before we go to the how we're going to do our fun little rating system here. So obviously, not to get all nerdy with comic book fans here, but obviously Scarlet Witch in the comics is more, I guess, of a mutant, or maybe not. So I'm just wondering how they're going to retcon this. Obviously not the daughter of Magneto, and I think they've already retconned that out of the current comic books, anyways. But I'm just fascinating how they're going to eventually bring in X-Men. Like X-Men was my jam. I've got a bunch of X-Men statues in my collecting room now, and yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that in because I had nothing else of value to add to the conversation. That was a joke, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that one fell flat.
Well, apparently our stream is falling flat because people are saying it's dropping out, but hopefully, the audio is good. The hour and 30 mark, and our podcast listeners are still listening. But anyways, I know it wasn't part of Civil War, but it was more Age of Ultron. But let's rate this on the number of Ultron hearts that you would rate this out of 5. Go ahead, Scott.
Out of 5, I go 4 out of 5 for sure. Maybe 4.25 probably. Okay. I don't think she could have come with anything else that would make it better, and I don't necessarily think they could have done, with the exception of sculpting the hair, I don't think they could have done anything any better.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing I'm concerned about is
longevity.
Just the longevity of it. So for that, I knock her down a little bit, but other than that, she's awesome.
Yeah. I'm at 4.5 Ultron hearts. I think definitely some areas as far as, like you said, the sculpted hair as an option, but yeah, good figure, solid figure. Yep.
Very cool. I would probably, just based on my memory, I would probably rate it kind of in that same, it was one that it was tough to sell originally just because I paid for more than I would like to have cared to, but it's a solid figure, and like as Scott said, it really can stand out in a collection, and that's really the most important thing as we have with collectors here. So, all right, we're at about an hour and a half, and that's usually about what where we're usually right on the money, even when we get rambling about certain things. But it's been a great discussion, Scott. Again, just thanks for coming on. Thanks for being part of the team. Thanks for sharing your process and showing the love and dedication you need to have to show a good product. It just doesn't happen by accident, and hopefully people see that, appreciate it, and continue to enjoy what you do.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Really, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys tonight, and thanks to everybody for checking the videos, and we'll try to keep them coming.
Very cool. All right, so we'll do our plugs before we do kind of closing thoughts here. So we've got our website, sixscalescavengers.com, with our databases, individual product pages. You'll also see some of those Marvel reviews that Scott's been doing for Parker Files. We've got our TeePublic store, our Facebook page. We're on Instagram and Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and sixscalescavengers.libsyn.com. If you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice. Again, and we'll add the plug now. We've been mentioning multiple different times, but make sure you subscribe to Parker Files on YouTube, and I'll make that a little bit more part of the routine going forward. But like I said, really happy to have you part of the creative team, Scott. We'll have you on a bunch more times, and just look forward to having you help out fellow scavengers out there in any way that you can.
Love it.
All right, Chris, TC, any other final thoughts?
Just another shout out, Collecting Weekly guys. Give that group a listen. They got a good podcast. Zach, Dean, Manny, the crew. They've got a whole bunch of shows, so it's definitely worth listening to.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, great conversation. And expect about 6 Hot Toy releases to drop tomorrow. I'm hoping for Obi-Wan Clone Wars. That's what I'm hoping for a pre-order release. And maybe that Mark 85 shows up.
Or quarter scale Baby Yoda reveal.
Oh, geez.
With Mando.
You're asking for a lot now. You're asking for a lot.
So guys, I'm just seeing here too. It looks like people had some issues with the stream for a little bit. So we kept going. Thankfully, we can at least download this from StreamYard afterwards. And if there's some issue with the stream on YouTube, we can make sure the full show's out there, and we'll have the full audio version out there as well too. So that's all right. Not a problem. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and usually all the regulars there. So sorry, Chris.
Is that it? We're done? We're out of here?
I think so. Yeah, I think again. So just thanks everybody, and Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.